What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Run It Up podcast here on the Rise Network. I'm your host, Najee Adams. Today, I got my boy, Khalil, with me because the other kid, Justice Gregory, as some of you may know him, told us he could record yesterday, come record yesterday, told us he recorded today, come record today. So at the end of the day, you either get with it or you get lost. You feel me? So he had to get lost. And so I'm here today with my boy, Khalil. How you doing, bro?
Good, man. It's been a long week, long day. Uh right before I texted you, are we still good for 10? I just got back from rehearsal and I commute for that every day, almost every day for like 35 minutes. So it's like an hour commute.
Did
So
you have your play already? Like, did it happen already?
so performances start February 10th and they'll be the 10th to the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next weekend it'll be the 15th or the 16th and to the 19th or whatever that is.
You know
So
all your lines, or you still memorizing your
it's
joint?
a little choppy right now, but I have most of them. I have all of them memorized. It's just like really being consistent. So I'll say
Is
that.
it gonna be like recorded? Like, can I watch that shit somewhere?
I think maybe one would be recorded. They're usually when you do it, and I've done it through the school, but now I'm doing it through a community theater. Usually when you do it, they have at least one night where they're recording and they'll let you know, like, hey, this is the night we're
Put on a
recording.
show.
Put
Yeah.
on a show. So I'm sure there'll be one night where it goes crazy like that. So
I bet we gotta tap into my guy Khalil's play. What is the play of again? Like, what's
it's
the name of it?
It's called Almost Maine. So it's like this long play, but it's a collection of short plays. So
Mm-hmm.
each scene is its own play, but all the characters aren't from the same town. So I'll play like four different roles
Okay.
within the play. So none of my characters are the same and they don't meet each other necessarily in other scenes. So
That's lit. I mean, I can't imagine they would meet each other. You just gotta talk to yourself. That would be nuts.
yeah.
But yeah, I hope they record that shit so I could tap in. But yeah, today we talking. We're gonna go through the NFL playoffs up to. We're recording this on Friday. You're hearing this on Saturday because I'm getting this out tomorrow. You're hearing this the day before Championship Sunday. So we're gonna go over the playoffs up till now and then give our picks for Championship Sunday. I believe both of our Super Bowl picks are still in. I picked the Chiefs to win. Who'd you pick to win the chip?
Chiefs.
We both picked the Chiefs to win the chip.
Yeah.
So both of our championship picks are still here. And then we're just gonna go over. I saw a question on TikTok that I wanted to ask Khalil, so we're gonna go over that, and then we're gonna give our NBA All-Star reserves at the end. And the starters got announced yesterday, so a lot of football, a little bit of basketball at the end, but a little bit of everything. I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna go basically series by series. And Khalil, tell me if there's anything that basically stood out to you. So we're gonna start with Jags Chargers right now. I picked the Jaguars to win. I want that to be clear. I knew the Chargers were frauds. I knew Brandon Staley would fuck it up somehow. But no, you and Justice wanted so badly to trust in Justin Herbert. And I believe he blew a 32-0 lead, 31, some 28-0, some crazy score, whatever it was. They ended up losing 30-31. I believe it was the third largest comeback in NFL playoff history. Uh, and Khalil, talk to me, bro. How anything shock you from that game?
Bro, shut up. That's that was so rude the way you asked that question. I was living it up in the first half. Like I was feeling
I'm
great.
sure you were.
I was like, I'm a genius right now. I was like passive aggressively talking crap. Like we
Mm-hmm.
were Justin Steiner in a group message with some other guys, and like I was texting about it, texting everybody about it. Like, I was feeling good about it. And then it just flipped. It just flipped the switch. And Chargers did what the Chargers do, and the Jaguars did what they've been doing. They turned it around. I have a question for you about this actually. So who do you think gets blamed for a loss like that?
I think it's hard to put it all on one person. I think obviously Brandon Staley takes a lot of the blame just because I think it started in the last week of the season. Like playing your starters out there, like them not having Mike Williams was a crucial part. Like
Right.
he's a crucial part of their offense. They were like 2-8 without him. So to see throughout the season that you obviously see a lessened success when Mike Williams is not in the lineup and know how injury prone he is, to put him out there for a meaningless game. Like, that's where I felt like the Chargers season was unraveled because that's just insane to do. But I don't think it was all on Brandon Staley. Obviously, they had trouble running the ball. Like, it was them versus, at that point when you're up that big in the going into the second half, like, it's you versus the clock. Like, all you have to do is run out 30 minutes. Like, that's all you have to do. And they could not do that.
No.
For whatever reason, Austin Eckler was not getting shit done. He only had 13 carries for 35 yards, but it's 2.7 yards a carry. Justin Herbert, I think some of the blame has to go on him too, because if this was the other way around, people would be giving Trevor Lawrence hell. When he was throwing 4 interceptions and shit, everybody was giving him hell. And so I'm gonna say this has to go on Justin Herbert too. I've been notoriously a Justin Herbert hater just because I don't think he's like as good as the rest of the world thinks he is. I think he's cool. I think Justin Herbert is a good quarterback. I don't think he's this, oh my God, there's not a throw we can't type of guy.
He's not a what type of guy?
Like, I don't think he's this, like, I don't want to say generational because we've been there before.
Yeah, we don't need to go back to that.
But I don't think he's like I don't think he's gonna be a like dominant force in the NFL. Like, I think he'll be okay, like a regular career trajectory. I don't think he's anything crazy special. Which
he makes some special throws. Like, we've seen that a lot this season. And sometimes, well, I think what holds him back right now is he maybe is like a little too smart for his own good. Like, he processes so quickly. He does a really good job of that. But sometimes with that processing, he will stick on reads a little bit too long, a little bit too much, or he'll go straight to his check down. So actually, I should turn that around. He'll go straight to his check down, but he won't stick with a read longer than he probably should. So, like, he'll get off the read, but if he stick with it a little bit longer, that's coming open sooner or later. But he goes straight to the check down, processes through his read, so he's getting rid of the ball. So he's not as aggressive as he should be, and he also doesn't use his legs as much as he should too. Like, he's a very athletic guy. He played quarterback at Oregon.
A big guy too.
Yeah, he's big. He's athletic. He has legs. Like, I don't know what he ran in a 40, maybe a 4.5, 4.6, something around that line. So he's not slow, but I don't think he improvises as much as he should. So he doesn't stand out amongst his peers when it comes to that, or separates himself when you talk about a Josh Allen, a Mahomes, or even a Burrow, who is amazing at that himself. So I think Herbert holds himself back when it comes to things like that, and he needs to learn how to be less robotic, or a little bit against the grain when it comes to what everyone thinks a quarterback should be. So playing off schedule a little bit more.
No, I respect. I've seen a lot of people, the criticisms for him being that, everyone kind of blames the scheme and blames Brandon Staley for why Justin Herbert doesn't really like air it out. Like, he's not throwing crazy deep passes when he has the arm to do it. But I think part of that in that game is because they didn't have Mike Williams. Like, he's their top deep threat, but his average depth of target just isn't high. And like you said, I think it's like the check downs. Like, he'd rather just get the ball out quick than make a mistake, really. And sometimes that limits the Chargers offense, and sometimes it helps them out tremendously. But regardless, blowing a lead like this is insane. Blowing a lead like this is insane.
Going back to that, I think it comes down to scheme and personnel. So, like, they don't have guys who can just stretch it out. I think Guyton last season, or whenever it was, I think he was maybe becoming a guy like that, Jalen Guyton. But he got hurt. He's been hurt the entire season, and he's a guy who can spread the field for him, and he just wasn't there. Of course, you got Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, who's hurt for most of the season. Palmer, he's fine.
He's okay.
He's fine. So they don't have the personnel to throw it downfield like that, even though we've seen it. Like, we've seen him make down the field
arm throws,
insane. Like, last season, like, he made some ridiculous throws. But I think he just played a little bit too conservative, but also that scheme being conservative itself. And we don't know what he's being told to coach, or told to do. It's like, we don't know how he's being coached. Yeah. So that can kind of come into play, but I'm glad that he at least made some type of change when it goes to the Chargers. So did you think he needed to get fired?
I think he should have been fired. I do. Yeah, I think he should have been fired. I don't, but like I said, I don't blame it all on him. Like, I think, like, if everyone holds Justin Herbert to this top 5, top 4 quarterback standard, like, that eventually has to translate to wins in big moments.
Right.
And so if you're a top 4 quarterback, I don't give a fuck what the scheme is. You shouldn't be blowing 28 whatever leads, 28-point leads.
Yeah.
And so I do think Brandon Staley should have been fired. Like, I think that's the quickest way to get where they need to go, because you're obviously not losing Herbert. And I think that their window, when you look at the rest of the league, like, there's a very clear blueprint in that the best teams really have to capitalize on their rookie quarterbacks' contracts and being able to build a great roster around that. Because once you have to pay Justin Herbert, like, you're gonna lose the money to really bolster the rest of that roster. But like, you look at a team like the Bengals, Joe Burrow's still on that rookie deal, and they have the money to keep T. Higgins, to have Jamar Chase, and those are all drafted guys. But like, to bring in talent elsewhere and keep that team together, keep that core together, to bring in a good like a better offensive line. Granted, they got injured, but like, they had the money to do so because Joe Burrow's still on that rookie deal.
Right.
And so you saw the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. Jalen Hurts too, I want to say. And so like, right, the Chargers are running out of time to do that, to capitalize on Justin Herbert still being on that rookie deal, because once it's time to pay up, I don't care if Justin Herbert doesn't have a single playoff win, he's getting the bag. So, you know, and then that limits what you can spend elsewhere in other positions. So I really think the Chargers got to do something. I know they fired their OC, but like,
yeah, but in a way, they made moves this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
What happened as soon as they made all those moves? What were people saying? They said Mahomes wasn't going to make it back to the conference championship or win the division. They said the Broncos were coming up. They said the Chargers were the best team in the NFL, or like roster-wise on paper. And then everyone gets injured. Like, J.C. Jackson gets injured. Bosa gets injured. Like, I think Derwin James played a lot, actually. He was pretty healthy this season.
Mm-hmm. J.C. Jackson got injured relatively early in the year.
Yeah.
It was against us, I want to say.
Yeah, Mike Williams injured. Keenan Allen injured. Offensive line injured. Like,
decimated.
It's tough. That's tough. So it's Staley hasn't gotten necessarily a fair shake in that way when it comes to the roster. Just like good luck, I guess you could say. But I think he's grown as a coach a little bit, but he's still making those mistakes, and he's still, you know, letting teams come back from a giant deficit like that. So I'm glad they made some type of change. Selfishly, I wanted to see Sean Payton get a quarterback.
I think that's why he didn't take a coaching job this year, because if Staley fucks it up again next year, I think the job is Sean Payton.
He's out of there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I feel like I think Sean Payton is playing the waiting game. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to Fox for this year, make my bread, live my retired life, and then go come in and coach Justin Herbert to a Super Bowl next year. Like, why wouldn't you do that rather than take a Panthers job and deal with Will Levis or whoever, Derek Carr, or whatever?
Hey, you gonna talk about the Panthers with Justice, isn't he?
Hey, man, he should have been here to defend his man's then. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that Jags Chargers game. That was insane. I literally went to sleep. I tweeted out Trevor Lawrence wouldn't be. I tweeted out 4 picks in the first half. Justin Fields could never. And then I went to sleep, and then I woke up and I woke up like at 3 a.m. and my head was like, yo, I know the Chargers lost. Okay. And I was like, let me check my phone. And what did I see? 31-30. I had people texting me like, so what happened? So what about? I was like, I knew they was trash, man. I never believed. But yeah, the next game was Baltimore-Cincinnati, the Tyler Huntley game, the fumble in the jungle, whatever people are calling it, where he fumbled on the goal line, ended up Sam Hubbard ended up bringing it back for fumble 6th. I think that's the longest fumble recovery in NFL playoff history.
Crazy.
Blocking the back on Mark Andrews wasn't called, but regardless, I don't think there's much to take away from that game. I think the Bengals got away. Like, if Lamar Jackson plays that game, I feel like maybe the Ravens win.
They might win, bro.
I feel like maybe the Ravens win. I did feel bad for Tyler Huntley, because after the game, J.K. Dobbins was like, if Lamar plays, we win. Like, that kind of fucked to Tyler Huntley. Like, he did all that he could in the situation that he was given. It was a bad situation for all parties involved. But yeah, the Bengals moved on, and I think everyone expected that. Buffalo, Miami, the Skylar Thompson game. Did anything stand out to you in that one, bro?
Going back to that Ravens game real quick, isn't it crazy? We just talked about rookie contracts. They have not built around Lamar
at all.
At all.
At all.
Of course, we talk about the run game being a whole different thing. Like Roman, he did a great job. He's gone now. That's probably a really good thing too. They even went away from Dobbins that game. I don't know why. But as far as receivers go, they just didn't give him anything. And
they got him Rashad Bateman, but Rashad Bateman ended up getting injured. And then they signed Demarcus Robinson to a contract off the Chiefs. I don't know what they expected out of that. Demarcus Robinson is 28 years old. Like, he's not, we know who he is.
Yes.
Yes. And then
Duvernay was good for him. He was good for him.
They signed Deshaun Jackson for a little while.
Lord. And then they signed Sammy Watkins. Like, we've seen this before. Exactly. We know how this goes. If you're signing Sammy Watkins at the end of the season, we know what's up.
We know what you're doing. Exactly. I think they failed to build a competent receiving core around Lamar. He had Marquise Brown for a long time, and he saw success with that, but they traded him away, got him up out of there. I think him and Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews, like the Rashad Bateman that I think Rashad Bateman is good. I'll put that up there. I think Rashad Bateman is good. And I think if you give that kind of receiving core along with Mark Andrews, who I think is a top 3 tight end in the league, a chance to flourish with Lamar, I think that offense can do really good things, but they got Marquise Brown up out of there. They believed Rashad Bateman could be their wide receiver 1. It obviously didn't pan out this season. But I did want to ask you, do you think the Ravens should pay Lamar?
Do I think so the tricky thing is he's been hurt for the past few seasons.
I think that's their biggest like if they come to him and say, listen, bro, like I'm sure like you got the MVP, like we know that you can be productive on the football field, but this is now back-to-back seasons where we've needed you in a playoff game and you have not been available.
Right.
And so if you want us to cough up $240 million, how do we know that when it matters, when that money that we give you is supposed to be like, this is why we're giving you that money to win us a chip. When we need you to win those games, how do we know that you're going to be available because of the play style that you had?
Yeah.
I think they should still pay him though.
And some of that they should pay him. That's where their offense is. Of course, their defense is really good and they got a lot better throughout the season too. But if you're going to pay him, you got to, and then I think they started like bolstering that offense and really getting it together. So you got to give him some opportunity to grow. He's growing as a pocket passer every year. And I think he's a really good pocket passer, but he needs a chance to be consistent. So you have to really invest in the passing element of his game and maybe take a little bit back in the run game. Of course, don't take the read option out. Don't take those QB powers out, but, put a little bit more into the passing game and give him a chance to really be successful and hopefully stay healthy if you can protect him in the pocket.
Yeah, I just think at the end of the day, like if you're the Ravens, like you're not that far off of a Super Bowl. Granted, in the AFC, like there's a lot of talent in there. Like you're gonna have to go through Cincy, Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, Lawrence, Herbert for the foreseeable future, and you have a guy that can go toe to toe with them in Lamar. And so if you lose that, your Super Bowl window's shut. Like you're not competing with that talent without a guy like Lamar. So I feel like your only chance to compete is to re-sign him. And I think that's where Lamar's leverage comes from. Like you see what's going on in the AFC right now. Your best chance of winning a chip is keeping me. So
what do you do if he leaves? Like what are you gonna do then? I mean,
nothing.
I don't know.
It's over at that point. Like it's chalking up. But yeah, kind of bouncing back to the Buffalo Miami game. Did anything in that game kind of stand out to you?
Looking through my notes, I didn't really write much down about that game. I guess it told us a little bit more about the Bills and how vulnerable they were as a team. Of course, we were going into the Bills-Bengals game, hoping for a little bit more and really didn't get that. But the Bills just not being healthy on the defensive side. Of course, some of the reason for going with the Bills is that Damar Hamlin, the impact and what that did for the team. But I just think they don't have what they need to be successful. They're too Josh Allen centric, too focused on him. The offense should center around him. You don't have enough weapons. You don't have a consistent running game. You need more than just Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. He's a fine number 3, whatever. But a number 2 is what you're missing. And then, of course, going right back to the run game. Like, you have to have a run game, and it just can't be Josh Allen. The offensive line wasn't as great. You're missing Von Miller, missing guys in the secondary. So just they just need to make some changes. I don't know where they go from here. Even make some changes with their scheme defensively.
Yeah,
They missed a lot.
They did. I think for the Bills, it's hard to pivot. I think this game in particular, like you said, really started to show the cracks that were gonna eventually seep through in that next round against the Bengals, where they just got absolutely smoked. That was their lowest offensive point total of the season. But I just think for the Bills moving forward, like I don't know where they go. Like they needed pass rush, right? The Bills have absolutely no pass rush. They spent a lot of money to bring Von Miller in, but Von Miller's 33 years old. He's coming off a torn ACL. Like you can't really do anything with his contract, so you just kind of got to wait that out. They signed Roger Saffold, former, I think he was on the Titans before, right?
Yep.
Former Titan. He has declined steadily in back-to-back years in terms of QB pressures allowed. And then when it comes to Gabe Davis, I think the Bills offense is, if you shut down Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen has to play Superman, and sometimes it works. A lot of the time it doesn't, and that's why he throws so many picks. That's why he fumbles so much. That's why he has so many turnovers, because he always feels like he has to do everything.
Yeah.
And I don't think Gabe Davis is a viable wide receiver 2. I don't. I'm sorry. I think he's a good wide receiver 3. But when you look at like the rest of the final 4 standing, like I think Brandon Ayuk is a damn good wide receiver 2.
Yes.
I think Devonta Smith could be a wide receiver 1 on a lot of teams. Yes. But a damn good wide receiver 2. T. Higgins, a damn good wide receiver 2. Those are 3 of the final 4 teams left standing. And then obviously Travis Kelce, and they have Mahomes. So, Juju does what he does. They got Travis Kelce and Juju does what he does. But like Juju was a wide receiver 1 on the Steelers. So as a second option, I think Juju's a better second option than Gabe Davis. So still, I think that when you look at these final 4 teams standing, like there's a clear blueprint that, like you have to have more than just one dominant guy, because when you take that guy out the game, what's left? Like you can't bracket Jamar Chase because T. Higgins will cook you. Like you can't double AJ Brown because Devonta Smith will go for 145 and 2. Like it's simple. So Brandon Ayuk led the 49ers in receiving yards. So it's like that. And they have George Kittle. Like that team is just nuts.
Stupid.
That team is just nuts. But still, I think the Bills have to do a lot more. I think Josh Allen still has a lot of growing to do as a quarterback. I think everyone was ready to anoint him the next MVP, and I just don't think that he's quite there yet.
Yeah, and I think he showed some of that patience last season. Just being able to maybe dink and dunk and really pick apart defenses. But this year, just putting a lot of pressure on himself. The offense putting a lot of pressure on him to deliver, and he just really overcorrected and declined quite a bit.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stupid,
a lot of like 2019 stuff, Josh Allen,
while still making amazing throws, but also some of the stupidest throws you'll see throughout the season. So,
and yeah, just to end out with the Bills, like I think when you're a team like the Bills and you don't have much cap space because you do have a lot of good position players, like the draft is very important for you, and hitting on players in the draft and letting them, that homegrown talent, develop into Pro Bowlers and develop into guys like that. Like you look at the Cowboys, they don't have much money, but they drafted Micah Parsons, and Micah Parsons is playing like a all-pro Hall of Famer in his second year. And so you don't necessarily have to give the money that you would like. You're not giving him the money that a guy like him deserves, but still getting a guy like his production, like. And so the Bills have to hit on the draft. They haven't drafted a Pro Bowler since 2018.
Oh, then when I say they've missed, they have missed.
They have missed
on much, man, and it's unfortunate and it's crazy, but like they've had opportunities to be very successful. And like with the James Cook, I like James Cook. I think he's going to be running back 1 for him eventually, hopefully. But like with other picks, just missing on a lot of those picks and making a big difference on their team right now. And Dolphins, I think they're going to be okay. I don't want to ignore the Dolphins. I think they're going to be okay. I don't know what their quarterback situation is going to look like going forward. I'm not a big Tua believer. Everyone talks about Tom Brady going to the Dolphins. Their defense is really freaking good. Jalen Phillips is going to be a superstar, I believe. What else? What else? Of
Still
course,
got the wide receivers, of
Tyreek
course.
Hill, Waddle,
Another team with two dominant guys.
Wilson. I like Wilson a lot. Mostert came on at the end of the season for him. Just wasn't healthy. Dolphins are going to be okay.
Dolphins are going to be okay. I agree. Moving on to the NFC first round, Tampa Bay, Dallas. Dallas absolutely rolled Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. I think they were far and away the worst team in the playoffs. The Bucks. They beat them 31-14. Was there anything that you took away from that game? I didn't really take. Cowboys look dominant because the Bucks they're bad. You know, like they got into the playoffs with a negative record because the NFC South is horrible. So it is what it is.
I'm silly for picking the Bucks.
I picked the Bucks too.
Yeah, I think we all did. Right?
We all did. I fell too much into the Tom Brady has never lost to the Cowboys.
But the other thing I fell into is like it's just the Cowboys, and they're just gonna, and a little bit of the Sean Payton, like maybe seeing Mike McCarthy go. But like the Cowboys are just gonna do what the Cowboys have done in the past and really just lay an egg.
And what they ended up doing. So
eventually
around too early.
We're just a little early. So but yeah, Bucks. I don't know what their future is gonna look like, and it's a little nervous. It makes me a little nervous for them. Tom Brady is gonna be out of there, or he's gonna be retired, but he is not going back to Tampa Bay.
Absolutely not. I know he's talking about like, oh, maybe I'll go. There's no shot.
Nah, bro.
I'm sorry. There's no shot he goes back. That man is a Raider or whatever. He's going somewhere.
And I think he'll be fine somewhere else, maybe, as long as it's a good situation and they can protect him. I think he'll be fine. People are saying he's washed. I'm not convinced of that, but he doesn't want to get hit. I'm very convinced of that.
Hell yeah. Moving on to Minnesota and the Giants. We all picked, me and you picked the Giants. Justice picked the Vikings. Justice picked the Vikings. Me and you picked the Giants. This game told me what I think everyone already knew. The Vikings were frauds.
Yes.
They were frauds throughout the season. They have one of the worst defenses I have ever seen. That defense is absolutely atrocious. Made Danny Dimes look like Mike Vick. Regardless, Daniel Jones has been good this season, but still, he did nasty things to them. And if I'm the Vikings, like this one hurts because you go through, I think they were like 12-5 or something like that. You go through the whole season and people are saying, you're trash, you're frauds. And then everyone bets against you. And like in your one chance to prove that you're not frauds, you do exactly what everyone thought you were going to do. So if I'm the Vikings, I don't know where I go from here. I mean, I don't think you can get any better than Kirk Cousins right now. Like to acquire a QB better than Kirk, like even if they decided to move on, is Derek Carr better than Kirk Cousins? I maybe, but like, is he the difference in a?
No, he's not.
No, he's not. He's not, and they're not getting Aaron Rodgers. I don't see them. I know just talk about the Cowboys trading Dak. I don't see them trading Dak to Minnesota.
That's a lot. I think they're fine with Kirk Cousins, and I think he played well this season. Maybe shore up the offensive line a little bit more. If you can get back to a run game, then that would be great too. Another weapon. Thielen might be out of there. I think his wife or something had a post talking about it being their last time there. So get another weapon. Even then, like KJ Osborne's fine too, but get someone else. And then the defense needs work. And if you don't, if you can't get a Vic Fangio or a Brian Flores in there, then you are going to go through the same exact thing next season probably. And maybe that's not true necessarily, but you got to get one of those guys. And I think Flores interviewed with him recently too, so you got to get him, into the coaching staff. So the Vikings have some stuff to work with, and it's a sucky season for Kevin O'Connell to end the way he did. But yeah, it's just we all knew what was going to happen. It was probably It was the easiest pick
of all time. And then the last game of the division of the wild card was my Seattle Seahawks versus the San Francisco 49ers. I will say we had the lead at halftime. And Justice asked me, how are you feeling? And I said, we're going to lose because we are going to eventually get out talented. And the 49ers are a very, very, very talented team. And we just don't have the talent to match up with that. And I think that showed. DK Metcalf, I'm glad that he got to show that on national TV that he is still that guy, because I feel like a lot of people give DK a hard time, and I think he's damn good. So I'm glad he got to go off. As far as the Seahawks and where we go from here, I think I've made it very clear that I want to Khalil.
Don't say
Khalil.
Bear with me. You just said we're going to get out-talented by the 49ers. I'm sorry. Let me talk to my mic. You're going to get out-talented by the 49ers, and you're about to come up here after you just had Geno Smith, comeback player of the year, most likely. Pro Bowler, have the season he's about to have. At one point, just a little bit, people are throwing out his name for MVP. Like, why is he not an MVP candidate? Well, I'm not. Right? You're going to tell me you need to go use one of your top draft picks to go draft a quarterback, and that's not going to do anything for the rest of your talent on your team. Jordan Brooks just tore his ACL. He's not coming back that soon next season. Woolen, he's great. He's good. What, did Diggs get injured? Did Quandre Diggs get injured? Or is he good? I can't remember.
He's fine. Jamal Adams got injured the first game of the season, though.
Oh, yeah. Hey, people forget about him. Ryan Hill's fine. And Wosu, he's good. I like him a lot. That defense needs help. They need a lot of help. Need a lot of help. You want to use one of those picks to draft a quarterback, which you already have for right now?
Listen here, Khalil. If Geno Smith tells us that he wants us to commit $30 million a year to him, I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I'm not giving Geno Smith a career backup at, how old is he? What is he, like 32? Hold on. He is 32. Yeah. I'm not giving a career backup that had a breakout season at 32 years old, $30 million a year for 3 or 4 years. I'm not doing it.
That's fair. How much would you pay the most?
I would give him, I want to tag him, but I would give him like 20 if you want to take 20, 21, somewhere around that range, but 30 is steep. I'm sorry. When I could go draft CJ Stroud or Bryce Young and give them chips and let them be okay.
Real quick, I have not done a dive into the quarterbacks at all, but my initial feeling is I don't feel good about any of them.
You don't?
No, I don't. Like a surefire hit, like, oh, this quarterback, he's gonna come in and he's gonna be good. I don't feel good about any of them.
I think I feel best about Stroud.
I like Stroud. I think he was really good, and I haven't watched them when they played whoever.
I think the game against Georgia really sold
Georgia.
Me. I think the Georgia game sold me.
So I haven't watched that yet. So I might feel differently after that. Once I really get into it, but I don't feel good about any of them. At least drafting that high, especially with your team needing so much more than just a quarterback. That's just how I feel. But you're a Seahawks fan. So
I respect it. As for the Niners, they moved on to the next round, and we can kind of just go on to the divisional. We talked about KC Jacks, Cincy Buffalo. I think they just got outmatched. We already went far over the Bills' problems. Dallas, San Fran. That was I felt like the Cowboys could win that game, and it was really close. I think that was a defensive battle. Michael Parsons, Nick Bosa, both impacting the game. Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott. Dak shot them out of that game. 2 picks, 2 very untimely picks. CD went crazy. I think he had no touchdowns, but he had like something. I think he had like 130 something yards. Obviously Tony Pollard got injured. That was the big one from that game. Exposed that Zeke is not a RB1 in this league anymore. I'm sorry. And for that reason, I think the Cowboys do end up bringing Tony Pollard back. I think that it's in the best interest of both of them. I don't know if teams are going to get like a little timid and offer him money because of the injury. I saw he didn't have to get like surgery on whatever part of his leg it was.
It's like he didn't have to get surgery on it.
I think he had like one part, like it wasn't as bad as they had originally reported. So maybe that helps. I think it's like a 3-month recovery time, which still means he would be perfectly ready for preseason training camp, walkthroughs, all of that. So I don't know if teams kind of sour up on that, but I feel like the Cowboys bring him back because how do you also the running back market this year is pretty hefty. So the Cowboys could technically replace him, but I think it's just best if you just keep him. He's already in house. You know what he likes. He knows what y'all like. And that way Jerry Jones can keep letting Zeke look decent, because when you put him in that RB1 role, things got scary.
It's bad.
It's bad.
It's really bad. I think Dak played well at the beginning. I think he's playing okay. And then I don't like to always like compare QBs in a way like this. So like Joe Burrow and Mahomes are playing this weekend, right? there is a lot of talk. We'll get into it probably later. We'll get into this next segment. There's a lot of talk about how if the Bengals win,
The stupidest shit I've ever heard.
Joe Burrow goes over Mahomes. Like, I don't think that's fair. But when we're talking about the 49ers and Cowboys situation, for Dak to lose that game when they're going up against Brock Purdy, who's been playing great, and he's had some shakiness here and there. They ran the ball a lot. They were conservative this game against the Cowboys, so they didn't put it in his hands like they have in other games. But for Dak to lose this game, and especially in the way that they did, and a lot of it went on him. Like, a lot of the blame is placed on him. Like, I think that just says a lot. And I think I don't know. I don't like it for him losing to Brock Purdy in this way. Of course, a good 49ers team, but you cannot lose that matchup. Like, it can't be your fault, is what I'm saying. At the end of the day,
you can't be the reason.
This loss can't be your fault the way it was, and of course the end of the game situations and Mike McCarthy.
What plays we run in? Zeke center.
It was only a matter of time for the Cowboys to do something stupid or a few stupid things. But again, a lot of that was, I think, just Dak's fault, and it just wasn't a good game or a good look for him, especially on a big stage like that with a talented team with aspirations like they have.
Yeah. The Cowboys, I think they got a lot of work to do this offseason.
On the bright side, they brought back Dan Quinn, so.
They did bring back Dan Quinn. I know he was a popular coaching candidate, so they can bring him back. He used to be with the Seahawks. I just want to make that clear. He used to be Seahawks DC, I want to say. So, boom. And yeah, the last divisional round matchup was Philly Giants NFC matchup. We had 3 NFC East teams in the divisional, but 2 got bounced. So the Philly Giants, that was an absolute threat. That looked like TCU versus Georgia. Them boys should not have been there. I think the Eagles were not that they should have been there. They deserve to be there. They were far and away better than the Vikings. I want to make that clear. They deserve to be there. They were in a separate weight class than the Eagles, though. I think they made that clear. I think they shut down everything the Giants wanted to do. Saquon was useless on offense. Danny Dimes was useless on offense. All the receivers did absolutely nothing. And the Eagles just kind of did whatever they wanted to do. You want to give the ball to Miles Sanders, let him run 50 yards down the field, cool. You want to throw it to Devonta Smith, let him catch a 40, 50-yard pass, cool. AJ Brown kind of got iced out the offense, but he was chilling. I know he was mad that he didn't get the ball, but he'll be fine. Dallas Goedert did what he wanted to do. The Eagles can hurt you in every way imaginable, which is why I think they are really, really good.
Completely outclassed.
Like,
completely. I stopped watching the game before halftime.
Yeah.
I just wasn't wasting my time with it. And silly me, I flipped my pick before, like a couple of days before the game, to the Giants. I let my feelings get the best of me, and none of the pick was, or the reasoning for the pick was based on football, I guess you could say, unless like you want to talk about just being uncertain about how like Lane Johnson would look and how Jalen Hurts would look coming off of injuries, and that might play in a part of just like the Giants maybe being able to make some plays. But I'm stupid. I'll say that. That's all it is. I'm just stupid.
The Giants looked good. Like, if you looked at Giants game versus the Vikings, like, they tested them and the Giants still came out on top. It's not like they just rolled the Vikings. Like, they were a battle tested team, and the Eagles just came in and just destroyed them.
Just different.
Just different. So the conference championship Sunday, this Sunday, that leaves us with Chiefs, Bengals, and Niners, Eagles. I guess we start with the AFC. Chiefs, Bengals. How you feeling about that game, bro?
What are we doing? What are we doing? I'm talking. I just brought it up last round. I'm bringing it up again. The first thing I'm bringing up. What are we doing? Why does that matter? Why? If the Bengals
get it off your chest, bro.
If the Bengals win, everyone's saying this for those who are listening, watching. Everyone's been saying this lately. You're hearing a lot of this, especially like in media, mainstream media. I listen to like Bill Simmons. You hear it on NFL Live, ESPN, whatever that crap is. I actually like Bill Simmons in his podcast though. But everyone has been saying about shout out Bill Simmons. Everyone has been saying if the Bengals win, there is an argument, or like you just have to say that Joe Burrow is better than Mahomes. Like, he's a top guy in the AFC. He's a top guy in the NFL. And I just don't understand. Like, I don't get that. Like, well, why does that make him better? The team might be better. Like, they're coached very well. It's a horrible matchup for the Chiefs. Like, and we've seen that. Like, they just haven't beaten them, especially like since like all this stuff has been happening between Burrow and Mahomes ascending. But why are we bringing this down up or putting this up to the quarterbacks? Like, why would Burrow be better than Mahomes? What is the argument for that? Just besides the winning part.
There is absolutely no argument for it. I 1,000% agree with you. Everyone touts Joe Burrow's 3-0 versus Patrick Mahomes, but like I don't really take too much into that. All three of those games came down to 3 points. Two of them were Evan McPherson field goal that won the Bengals the game.
Yes.
And stats like that are so stupid. Like, hey, listen here, Baker Mayfield is 3-1 versus Joe Burrow. Does that make Baker Mayfield better than Joe Burrow? Like, absolutely not. Tyler Huntley almost beat Joe Burrow. Does that make Tyler Huntley better? Skylar Thompson was 3 points away from beating Josh Allen. Does that make him better? Eli Manning and Nick Foles beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Are they better than Tom Brady? Like, that's the dumbest fucking argument.
And I know like they're closer than some of those comparisons, whatever. Still though, like it still applies. And I know Joe Burrow's amazing. Like, you know, you want to put him at 2, great. You want to put him at 3, whatever. Like, he is top 3 for sure. Top 4, all that good stuff. Like, and he's amazing. He's processing, he's getting in and out of plays, you know, pre-snap. Like I talked about Herbert processing, Joe Burrow's right up there better. Just being able to also play off schedule, making plays, knowing when to go to his guys. You got Chase on the outside, you got Higgins on the outside. He is not afraid to go to them. He just keeps it simple. He puts his teams in good spots. Like, he is a great quarterback, and he's playing so well. Like, he's playing at an elite level, and he's elite right now. But we've just never seen anyone like Mahomes. And of course, we talked about this 2 weeks ago with the generational crap, whatever. But Mahomes is far and above, just so much better than everyone else. And you know, with the team he has right now, and I think it's a fine team, and they are lacking a lot on offense when you really think about it, especially compared to like not having like a Tyreek Hill.
And he still had them as the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL.
Exactly. Like, they're doing this because of Mahomes. I don't know if this happens with anyone else. We see the Bills with Josh Allen and not having as much talent on offense, and we're seeing what's happening there. In Bengals is a different situation with Burrow, but Mahomes is, I don't know, man. I just don't get it. I don't get it, and I'm a little upset about it. I can't even think. I can't even speak about it.
No, I mean, I agree. I think that Patrick Mahomes is far and away the best quarterback in the NFL. I would put Joe Burrow 2. I would put Burrow 2, Pat Allen 3, all of that. But yeah, I don't think single game performances should be like the be all end all in quarterback debates. Like, I think it goes so much further beyond that.
And the ankle, like what he did last week with the ankle,
crazy.
Like the jump passes, you know, being able to throw off of one leg, like no one else is doing that, man.
No, he was jump passing with the high ankles.
Like, no one's doing that, man. He's just cut from a different cloth, and he makes throws a lot of other guys can't make or won't even try to attempt. And he's just different. We've never seen anything like it. And it's not like it'd be different if he wasn't playing well or as good as he has been, but he's probably going to be the MVP. Probably. So like, it's not like he's falling off. It's like, oh, Burrow might be taking the spot for him. Like, he's playing at an elite level and has his team in the conference championship once again.
So who are you picking? Who else you pick for the game?
I'm picking the freaking Chiefs, man.
Oh, because I'm picking the Bengals.
I don't blame you. I don't even feel good about the Chiefs.
So the Chiefs have been my Super Bowl pick for since like, I don't know, sometime mid-December. Really, I've been like, all right, the Chiefs are gonna win the chip. I think the high ankle sprain is what's torn me off from that, especially with how good the Bengals look. Like, if you're telling me I get a 75% Pat Mahomes, which is still better than 99% of the league, but with 100% Joe Burrow, and granted, like we just talked about, it's not a QB game, but I'm still going to go ahead and take the Bengals. I just think that the high ankle sprain, regardless of how he looks in press conferences and walking around in practice, nothing can simulate in-game action. And when the Bengals start rushing you and you gotta put weight on that ankle, we'll see how it holds up. Also, just like in their matchups, like the Bengals DC, defensive coordinator, he gives Mahomes problems. He's never thrown for more than 275 yards in any of their 3 matchups, and all of those were with Tyreek Hill. And so now Tyreek Hill is gone. Like I said, the Bengals have won all three games by 3 points. Literally, the score was the same in the last two. I think it was 27-24. And also, just Jamar Chase owns the Chiefs.
Yes.
Like, he owns the Chiefs. He averaged 139 receiving yards per game against him in his career. That's the most of any wide receiver in NFL history against the Chiefs. Granted, small sample size, it's only 3 games. But Joe Burrow has completed over 80% of his passes to Jamar. He has 144 passer rating when targeting him versus the Chiefs. And combine all of that with the fact that the Chiefs secondary allowed the most passing touchdowns in the NFL and the second highest red zone TD rate, like, I just think that it's a perfect storm for the Bengals to come in there, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow to link up, because the Chiefs have never shown that they've been able to stop them. And I don't think anything's going to change. And I don't know. I just think that their weakness, the Bengals are perfectly built to take advantage of that. And I don't know if I can say the same about the Chiefs. I think it'll be close, though. I wouldn't be shocked if the game was tied late in the fourth quarter and we ended on another field goal. If it was a 3-point ending, I would be not shocked at all. So, but I'm going to take the Bengals.
Yeah. See, I do have questions when it comes to this game, and questions for the Chiefs a lot, though. Based off the last few matchups, based on where Mahomes is, health-wise especially. So it's like, can Mahomes be patient? Can he take those checkdowns? Can he, work in the run game, work in the screen game? I think having a guy like Pacheco and McKinnon, those guys really taking over the run game has been huge for the Chiefs. They've done a lot for them. Pacheco just adds this crazy toughness for the Chiefs that we've seen. Yeah, we've seen it progressively, but he just took them to a whole new level, and he gives them so much energy. I think the Bengals surprisingly have a lot of energy, not a lot of toughness on their team. The way they just handled the Bills last week was, I did not expect that. And in the trenches, like offensive line, defensive line, they own the trenches and they won that game because of that. Even in like the bad weather that Buffalo had, like they belong there, and Buffalo had more trouble with the weather than the Bengals did, which is crazy to think about too. So can the Chiefs run the ball? And that defense the Chiefs have against a guy like Chase and Higgins, which we've seen them have a lot of trouble with. Of course, they have McDuffie, they have Snead, they have guys like that who can play on the outside, but can they win those matchups, or can they win enough to put them still in a good spot? And so I worry about stuff like that. I worry about the health. Of course, I could see it being like after this game, like, oh, it's kind of obvious, like Mahomes, this doesn't make sense. Like him being healthy doesn't make sense. So I could see it being obvious, like, oh, you probably just should have picked against the Chiefs in this way. But I can't bet against Mahomes, man.
I don't blame you at all, bro. I don't feel good about my Bengals pick, and I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Pat Mahomes he's a legacy. Like, this is a legacy game for him. Like, he comes out and he claps the Bengals like on a high ankle sprain, them coming in, him finally breaking his little 3-0 streak versus Pat Mahomes. Like, that's a legacy building shit. So I wouldn't be shocked if Pat Mahomes did it. And it doesn't feel good betting against him, but I am going to take the Bengals in this game.
That's fair. And how are people going to say, like, if the Bengals win this game, Joe Burrow's over Mahomes, or like he's a top guy, and then Mahomes is coming into this game when we saw his ankle do whatever it did last week. So like he's probably not even 100%. I know he's playing. So like at the end of the day, if you're playing, you're playing. But I don't know. It's just weird to me. And it feels like we're always trying to do that, like try to take that top guy out of the number one slot. But it's just unnecessary at this point. Like nothing is wrong with me number two in this case.
Not at all. I agree. We're on the same page. It's infuriating. And I just want to make it clear, if the Bengals do win, I do not think Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL. But kind of moving on to the NFC, Eagles-Niners. See, I have a lot of shit written down for this one.
Let's go. Let's do it. Go for it.
I have a lot of shit written down for this one. I think Chiefs Bengals is gonna be close. I think this could be a blowout. Like, I think the Eagles might run through the Niners. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I think I wouldn't be surprised if this got ugly. Like, rookie QBs are 0-4 in conference championships. I think that turns to 0-5. No QB has ever started in a Super Bowl. I don't think Brock Purdy's going to be the first. I'm going to be honest with you. I think this is the game that he collapses, he breaks down, gets exposed, whatever you want to say. I think this is the game that makes Trey Lance the starter in 2023. So I really do think that since week 14, Brock Purdy has been really good. He's 7-0, best passer rating in the NFL, best mark over a 7-game span by 49ers QB since Steve Young. Granted, who have they really had, but still, that's crazy shit. Steve Young is one of the best quarterbacks of all time. So whenever you're in the same sentence as him, good shit. I do want to say, though, in those 7 games, they played the Buccaneers, the Seahawks twice, the Commanders, the Raiders, the Cardinals, and the Cowboys. 3 of those teams didn't make the playoffs. The Bucs had a negative record and were clearly the worst team in the playoffs. And the Seahawks had one of the worst defenses in the NFL. 8th most points per game allowed, 3rd most rushing yards allowed, 7th most total yards allowed. And in those games with the Seahawks, Brock Purdy didn't have to do too much. He threw for a combined 56 times. The Eagles will by far be his biggest test yet. They were practically the best defense in the NFL. I think them and the Niners, back-to-back, the best defense in the NFL. They had 75 sacks, the 3rd most by team in NFL history.
Stupid, bro.
Like quite literally, they're historically good defense going up against Brock Purdy, right? Like this is the last overall pick in the draft going up against one of the best defenses we have seen in the modern era of football. Granted, the Eagles also have the 2nd highest pressure rate in the NFL. And even though Brock Purdy performed like pretty decently under pressure in his first 6 games against the Cowboys, he didn't look good. He threw for 214 yards on 29 attempts. He completed 3 of his 11 passes under pressure. Cowboys are a real defensive line. They're not the Seahawks. They're not the Cardinals. It's the Cowboys defensive line with Micah Parsons. And we saw what happened then. For the most part, the Cowboys defensive line is predicated around one player, Micah Parsons. He is a one-man wrecking machine. You can do what you can to try and scheme him out of a game, though. You cannot do that for the Eagles defensive line. They have 4 players with double-digit sacks this season, the most of any team in NFL history. Hassan Reddick, Javon Hargrave, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham. I think Brock Purdy is going to get destroyed. I think this is going to be a blowout. I think Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown go crazy versus the 49ers secondary. The 49ers are great versus the run. They've allowed the 2nd least rushing yards per game, but they allowed the 13th most receiving yards in the NFL. They've proven throughout this stretch that they can be beat by receivers. When you look at week 17, like since week 17, they gave up 7 for 153 and 2 to Devontae Adams. He had Jarrett Stidham at QB. That game went to OT. And the wild card, they gave up 10 for 136 and 2 to DK Metcalf. CeeDee Lamb put 10 for 117 on their head last week. In week 16, they gave up 77, 76, and 52 yards to McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Curtis Samuel. Each of them had a receiving touchdown. The 49ers have very clearly been able to be beat through the air. And also, people always talk about this Eagles defense and how, always talk about the 49ers defense and how they're going to stop Jalen Hurts from running the ball. I just want to make it clear, when you look at the Niners schedules, they have not played a quarterback like Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
They played Justin Fields in week 1 and they lost. Granted, it was in the monsoon or whatever you want to say. Outside of that, the only other mobile QB they played was Marcus Mariota, and they lost again, 28-14, and Mariota rushed for 50 yards and a touchdown. Both times they played the Cardinals, Kyler was out. They played Colt McCoy and David Blau. This defense has not been tested in a game, in a game with Jalen Hurts. And when they have been by guys like him, they have lost. Not only is Hurts a weapon in the run game, he's a threat in the passing game. The Eagles have the best offensive line in football. Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson have allowed 0 sacks. They have the 1st best pass block grade, the 3rd best run block grade. Every single one of their starters is a Pro Bowler. Like, that's insane. Their entire starting line are Pro Bowlers. I just don't know how I just don't know how the Eagles don't win this game. Like everything that I was wanting to go for the Niners. And then I started doing research and I was like, oh, this is going to be a blowout. Like the Niners are going to get clapped. Like Brock Purdy is going to absolutely self-destruct. AJ Brown is going for 150 yards on them. Easy. He was mad last week. He going to get it back this week. Jalen Hurts had the best passer rating, 25 yards down the field. Whenever he's throwing passes, 25 plus yards down the field. AJ Brown had 7 touchdowns, 25 yards down the field this season. That's the second most of any player in the NFL since air yards started being tracked in 2006. And guess what? The 49ers defense ranked as the 25th worst defense in deep passes. Who knew? What are the Eagles good at? Passing the ball deep. It's like, I just don't see a realm in which they win this. I'm taking the Eagles to win big and exploit the 49ers and all of their weaknesses. That is the end of my TED Talk. Khalil.
That was amazing.
I just broke it down for you, my brother.
That was amazing.
I just broke it down for you.
You deserve a round of applause for that one. That's good.
Thank you,
that was
bro.
great. I wrote down 3 notes, but I added a 4th during your talk. First note is, can the 49ers run the ball? I think they can. I think they can against the Eagles. Can they run the ball?
They're gonna have to.
They're gonna have to. Can they contain Hurts in the run game? We don't know.
We don't know.
They're not in that area. They aren't proven. Just like you said, like they're not proven in that area at all. And Mariota, he's all right. He got benched.
Yeah,
there's a reason he got benched. And Hurts is not Mariota. He is. No, he's been a what will you say he's been this year? Top 5, top 4, what?
Yeah, definitely top 5.
Top 5 quarterback.
Like he was the front runner for MVP before he got injured.
Yeah. So like Hurts is dynamic. He's playing as great as ever, running the ball, passing the ball, RPOs, getting the ball out. Deep passes are beautiful. Really connecting with his receivers. Has a great connection with Smith and AJ Brown. Like they're firing on all cylinders when it comes to both sides of the football, I think. And then also the third note, can they defend on the outside? So can they guard guys like AJ Brown? We just saw Ward.
I don't think so.
We just saw guys like Ward, not do well. He did not look great on the outside last week. Like, can they defend guys like Smith and AJ Brown consistently? We talked about the same thing with the Chiefs. Can they win enough? And I don't know if they can. I don't think we've seen that at a consistent level because they're playing 2 elite guys at their position. So they're going to have to do something about that too. And then the 4th one, can Kyle Shanahan call the greatest game of his freaking life?
If they win, it's all on Kyle.
Bro,
Kyle and CMC going to have to do some crazy shit.
That defense is insane. Like, and of course, like I was listening to Bill Simmons today, and I was listening to Ben Solak. Love Ben Solak. He's really good. I don't know if I'll ever listen to his podcast, but I love when he comes on Bill Simmons. Pause. Anyways.
Yeah, big one. That's crazy. That's crazy. Shout out to Bill Simmons getting freaky deaky.
But he's really good though. He does a lot of studying, and he's talking about the Eagles don't make a lot of adjustments when it comes to that defense, and they are going to they're going to let you win at one area, and they're going to take away something else completely. So he's talking about like they're going to let you win in that run game. They're going to let you do that. But as far as taking the pass away, that's what they're going to do, and they're going to stick with that. They're not going to make adjustments as far as changing what they do goes. I think he's grown a lot. I think it's Gannon over there. He's grown a lot as a DC anyways throughout the year, and they've added more stuff on that defense, and they've become more versatile. But like, can Kyle Shanahan do something? Can he use that run game to open up his play action? We saw the play action really work well for the 49ers, especially on that George Kittle connection with Brock Purdy. Huge play in the game. We hadn't seen them be aggressive that much to that extent, and then you finally see the pass open up right there, and huge play for them to get that first down. But I don't know. I picked the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl. Based off what I've been looking at, listening to you especially, just right now, like it's hard to stay with the 49ers. It's hard.
Let me convert you, Come on.
It's hard. I'm going to stay with the 49ers, though, just to break your heart. I'm staying with the 49ers. I love this team. I think this defense is great. I do worry about the Jalen Hurts aspect of things, just not being able. We just haven't seen them play a quarterback like Jalen Hurts. So I would love to see what DeMeco Ryans is going to do on that side of the ball. What he's going to have his defense looking like, of course. But I do think the 49ers are going to win this, and Brock Purdy is going to make some history, oddly enough.
Boom.
But I definitely understand why you are on the other side,
No,
and
I respect it. I
I'm
like it.
scared. I'm scared for my life for this pick.
I respect it. So we've got two different Super Bowls. Khalil's got Chiefs, Niners Super Bowl. I've got Bengals, Eagles. So we will see what bunch of us is right next. Well, not next week because I guess they have the Pro Bowl week off and then the week after. But we'll see by the time we record next. So those are our picks for the championship Sunday games. Khalil,
Right, I'm stressed already.
Khalil, no, don't you worry about it. I didn't put this on the docket for what we're going to talk about, but I wanted to ask you something because I saw it on Twitter. And I think Nick Wright was talking about it, and I wanted to ask your opinion on it. So they were basically asking him, are there 10 quarterbacks today you would start your franchise with over Daniel Jones? And so I think there's a locked 8. For me, I'll give you there's 7 that I think everyone agrees on. And then I think there's 8, but for obviously Mahomes, obviously Burrow, obviously Allen, Lamar, Herbert, Hurts, that's 6. And then I think everyone would say Trevor Lawrence, that's 7.
Yeah.
Is there 3 more quarterbacks that you would start your franchise with today over Daniel Jones?
Let me pull up the NFL teams real quick. I just gotta think about it.
No, do your thing. Because for me, I was pretty much on the edge. I came up with the first 8 really quickly, and then at 9 and 10, I started to waver on. But in the end, my answer was yes. I can. If I was a GM, I would start. I would be able to pick 10 quarterbacks I'd rather start my franchise with than Daniel Jones.
Yeah. What about Rodgers?
I wouldn't. Not
Old, fair. I'm mad.
old. Yeah, old. I just don't know.
Old.
He might retire next season. That's
Fields.
Easy. He was my 8. He was my 8th.
Okay. Sam Howell.
Absolutely not.
All right. Jared Goff.
He was in my honorable mentions, but I would probably take Daniel Jones over him.
He's a big system guy, and Daniel Jones really separates himself in the run game.
Yeah.
So, dude, am I done? This is it.
No, you.
All right. Jordan Love.
But I take Jordan Love over Daniel Jones. I wouldn't just because Daniel Jones looked really good this season and Jordan Love could be trash.
I'm thinking about it. I've only seen a little bit of Jordan Love, but that small sample size, I loved it. I immediately picked him up in fantasy.
Him and Christian Watson looked locked in.
That was nice. That was nice. So I'm thinking about it, but I can't do that. Deshaun Watson?
He was 11 for me. I was so Daniel Jones ended up coming up as 12. I think I would take 10, Deshaun Watson, and then Daniel Jones. Granted, Deshaun, shitty person, looked really bad in shitty person, looked really bad in what we did see of him this season. But I think we've seen enough throughout his career on the football field to just know that he's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. So I would take Deshaun over him.
Pickett.
He was in my honorable mentions as well. I have him after Jared Goff, but no, I would take Daniel Jones over Kenny Pickett.
Mac Jones.
He wasn't even in my honorable mentions. I would take Daniel Jones over Kenny Pickett.
Tough, bro. It hurts. Mike White. I'm just kidding. Don't answer that question.
No, thank you.
Don't answer that question. So you're asking me if there's 10 quarterbacks I would pick over Daniel Jones?
I think we have 8, right? Because we have Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lamar, Herbert, Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, and Fields. Is there 2 more you would take over Daniel Jones?
I would take Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
I really just want to say Jordan Love, man.
Would you take Kyler?
That's probably crap. Yeah, you'd have to take Kyler. I don't like Kyler. I'm not high on Kyler. Mm-hmm. I don't like him that much, but I think you'd have to take him. I think there are maybe some concerns with it. But just based on what he's shown and him not having, I guess, the best system around him too, you kind of have to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Not a lot of stability. Kingsbury, just really falls off towards the end of the season. I think there's a conversation with it, just because of the injury prone element to it, the size element to it. But I think Kyler is almost a lock. So I would say there's 10.
So Kyler was my 10, and then I had Tua. I had Tua over. I know you don't really like Tua, but I think Tua is better than Daniel Jones. So my 10 ended up being Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lamar, Herbert, Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Tua, Kyler.
I'm not taking Tua.
Are the 10 that I would take over Daniel Jones. Dak, Deshaun, Trey Lance, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Kenny Pickett are kind of guys that I thought about over Daniel Jones, but I ended up siding with Daniel Jones over all of them but Deshaun. I'm curious.
Yeah, 12 to 13, 14 area is really good. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Justice would say, because I know he also hates Tua, but he also hates Kyler. So I don't know.
And he hates Daniel Jones.
Yeah, so I would love to know what he would say.
No, he's not taking. He's taking 10 for sure over Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I think you take 10 too. And then my next question for you, which was on the docket. So your favorite team's the Titans. My favorite team is the Seattle Seahawks. We obviously both know we didn't win the Super Bowl. We have obvious holes to fill on both sides of the ball.
A ton.
So I am Roger Goodell, and I come to both of us and I say, I'm just gonna bless y'all, like for jokes. It's just gonna be a good fun time. You can steal any offensive player and any defensive player in the NFL and put them on your team as currently constructed, but you can't take a quarterback. So you've got to rock out with Ryan Tannehill and Malik Willis. I've got to rock out with, I guess, Geno Smith, even though we have no quarterbacks under contract. I guess Drew Lock, but I've got to rock out with Geno Smith in this scenario. Who would you take on offense?
Thought a lot about this. This is tough.
It's a lot of players in the NFL.
If you watch the Titans, there were two noticeable holes on that team. Aside from the quarterback, obviously we're not doing that, but Ryan Tannehill got injured. Willis did not look good. Dobbs was fine. Besides that check down he threw at the end of the game. Don't want to talk about it. But there were two really noticeable holes on our team. I look at receiver and I look at left tackle, offensive line. Receiver, we drafted Treylon Burks. I think he looked really good when he played. Like, he looked like a guy who could really, be a guy on our offense, be the receiver number one for that team, especially, run the offense through Derrick Henry. But he was injured. He, went into camp getting injured, went into the season getting injured, and just had so many different nagging injuries. So a receiver came to mind, of course. I looked at Jamar Chase and I looked at Justin Jefferson. No order, but those are two guys I looked at. Left tackle was an issue. I don't care who you got at receiver. I don't care. You're not getting them the ball if you can't freaking block your quarterback's blind side. So I went with Trent Williams at left tackle for
Bro, I had Trent Williams written down for me, but I changed it last minute. Yeah.
I had to go Trent Williams. Like, Daly was god awful for the Titans. We cannot block to save our lives, and I think that really strapped a lot of our play calling. Our play caller wasn't good anyways, and he got fired. Thank God. But I just don't think we were in a good spot in that offensive line. If you have a bad offensive line, man, there's not much you can really do going forward. You can't really run the ball that well. Can't really. Derrick Henry didn't have a great end of the season, I don't think. And then also we couldn't throw the ball. Of course, no one to throw to, but couldn't really give ourselves a chance as much. So
I think that's a great pick. I was almost going to pick the same thing. For me, the Seahawks, I think the easy answers are, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Christian McCaffrey. But I look at our offense, and since I can't take a quarterback, I have Geno. I think DK Metcalf is a wide receiver 1. I like that. I think Tyler Lockett's a wide receiver 2. I like that. Our wide receiver 3 is bad, but I think we can address that through the draft. I'm not stealing a player for a wide receiver 3. I think tight end. I thought about Travis Kelce. I did. I thought about Travis Kelce, but Pete Carroll and the Seahawks seem to make the best out of whatever tight end they have, and they have done that for a while, right? Like, we had Colby Parkinson, Will Dissly, Noah Fant, all scoring touchdowns, getting down the field, getting open in space, and making plays.
Yeah, y'all were good. They were good. Y'all run 3 tight ends very well. Like, it's good. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So I didn't want to waste it on that. I think we're good at receiver, and I think we're damn good at running back, because I love me some Cam Walker. So that leaves the offensive line to address. And I was gonna go Trent Williams. And I thought to myself, we just took 2 rookie tackles. We took Charles Cross, Abraham Lucas. Neither one of them was great, but for a rookie season, they had pretty good seasons. Guards are tough, but what we need is a center. We need a guy in the middle of the line to really get shit going, you know? And so I thought about Jason Kelce, but I was like, he's a freak, but he's also 35 years old. So I don't know how much he's got left in the tank. So you know who I took? I took Creed Humphrey. I stole Creed Humphrey off of the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the best players in the 2021 draft class. The Seahawks started Austin Blythe at center this season. He was the 35th ranked center in football, according to PFF. There's clearly only 32 teams. So I don't know what that has to tell you, but we have horrible center play. I was between Kelce and Creed. Creed's 23. Kelce's 35. I think he's already a top 2 center in the NFL. He's been PFF's highest graded center in both years of his career with an 80.9 pass grade and a 90.7 run block grade. And we all know the Seahawks love to run the ball. I also think we have a nice little young offensive line that can grow together. If we take Creed Humphrey, let him grow next to Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas. And then we got a dog offensive line. And then Geno could do whatever the fuck he wants. So I'm okay with that. I'm stealing Creed Humphrey. I know that's not the sexy pick like Jamar Chase and DK Metcalf or Justin Jefferson and DK Metcalf, or I reunite AJ Brown and DK Metcalf. They would be really good. But we need in a realistic scenario, we need a center. So I'm going, I love that we both took off.
It's a very mature pick.
Creed Humphrey and Trent Williams. On the defensive end, who did you take, bro?
So this is a hard one, and I just now thought about it. As far as like a player that we didn't have this season that we really needed, and that's Harold Landry, an edge guy who really could have helped us out as far as getting to the pass rusher. I think guys kind of stepped up in a way, but we also just faced a lot of injuries. I don't think Landry's like the lead guy. Like he's not like a dominant player, but he's really good. He's going to be very consistent for you. He just got injured though. And then also I think at the back end, as far as corners, we just lacked there. We took Caleb Farley a couple of years ago. Of course, injury riddled type of player coming in and hasn't panned out so far. Also being pretty injured through his career so far too. We took McCreary last year. We've taken Fulton, and those are decent guys. So I think about needing a corner, a true lockdown corner, especially for the defense I think we want to play. I think we're a really good zone team. But when it comes to man, like I just don't think we excel in those areas. We have really good safeties. Linebackers are decent. I thought about guys like Roquan Smith, Fred Warner, those type of guys, right? Yeah. But I'm thinking edge. I'm thinking corner. I'm not going to do edge. I'm going to go corner. My corner is Patrick Surtain, PS2 from the Broncos. I'm picking him. We need a lockdown corner, a guy we can really rely on to really get us to a versatile point in our defense to where we can lock down the side of the field and do some crazy stuff on the other side. So I think that's what we need.
For me, on the defensive end, I started off at Fred Warner because we played 49ers twice a year, and that man's an absolute wrecking ball. And we have horrible linebacker play. Jordan Brooks just tore his ACL. Clearly, we have Cody Barton out there doing nothing.
Going strong.
Doing nothing. And obviously, I think the easy choice is like Sauce. I think Sauce and Tariq Woolen would be insane for the foreseeable future. But at the end of the day, the Seahawks have absolutely no pass rush. Uchenna Nwosu did pretty good. We had Bruce Irvin come back out of retirement and start to pick up steam for us.
Like his third stint with the Seahawks.
That's what I'm saying. That's not realistic. Uchenna Nwosu did fine. Darrell Taylor was a bit of a disappointment. Boye Mafe didn't really play as much as we'd like. Poona Ford and Shelby Harris didn't really hand out as much as I would have liked. So in order to bolster the pass rush, I feel like there's only one option here.
You want edge?
Yeah, I'm taking Mr. Micah Parsons. I think I think he is obviously primarily a pass rusher. He also can line up in coverage every now and then. He was PFF's second highest graded coverage edge rusher among 49 qualified defenders. It's obviously not where you want him, but he can do it if need be. He's a one-man wrecking ball, can single-handedly impact the game on the defensive end, unlike many, if any, in the NFL today. And so I think you add fucking Micah Parsons to that Seahawks run. What? Come on. We need to tackle. We need to stop the run. I think he helps with that. I also think he bolsters our pass defense immediately. And so the two players I would steal if I was the Seahawks and we could do this would be Creed Humphrey and Micah Parsons. And boom. I think that was a fun little. I'd have to know it, Justice. You would say some stupid shit like, "Oh, I want Justin Jefferson."
I mean, they could use another receiver.
Hey, Terrace Marshall, his old teammate.
Yeah.
And so that kind of wraps up our NFL talk. Before we head out, we are going to give our NBA All-Star reserves. The starters got announced. I want to say last night. In the West, the starters are LeBron, he's the captain, Luka, Steph Curry, Zion, and Nikola Jokic. And in the East, the starters are Giannis, Kyrie, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, and KD. A lot of people felt like, obviously, Joel Embiid got snubbed. I think people even felt like Giannis or Tatum should hit the bench. But considering Joel Embiid had the media vote and the player vote, but the fan vote ended up kicking him out of the starting lineup. I think a lot of people don't like the foul hunts. And I think KD, Giannis, and Jason Tatum are just more interesting players to watch. So he ended up losing the fan vote.
Yeah, people are not happy, though, about Embiid. Like, they are not happy. Upset.
They're not happy. Lakers fans are also upset that AD didn't start. I think that is the stupidest thing.
It's not the same.
It's not stupidest shit in the world. People are like, oh, yeah, Zion has been injured too. Zion's only played like 5 more games. Listen, bro. We're the 13 seed. The Pelicans like the 4 seed. Why would they give a 13 seed 2 starters?
Let it go.
If we were the 4 seed, sure, put Anthony Davis in there. But we're not. We're not even in the playoffs. They're not giving us 2 starters. So starting with the Western Conference reserves, the way they do it is 2 guards, 3 forwards, and then 2 wild cards. So basically any position. My reserves ended up being Shea and Ja. I think not really much of a debate there. John Morant, the Grizzlies are second in the Western Conference, and the Thunder are 11th, which is way better than everyone thought they would be. And that's with Shea missing a bit of time. Shea's like the 3rd leading scorer in the NBA. I want to say, no, he's the 5th leading scorer in the NBA, averaging over 30 points a game. Has taken a major leap. One of the largest candidates for most improved. And so I think that's a no-brainer, putting Shea in there. And then for the forwards, I have Lauri Markkanen, Domantas Sabonis, who a lot of people felt like should have been a starter, and Anthony Davis. I think Lauri Markkanen's a lock. He is the other most improved player candidate. The Jazz are sitting at the 10 seed. They started off really hot. For one point, they were the 1 seed in the West, which is absolutely insane. But Lauri's averaging almost 25 points per game and 8.7 rebounds. I think he has really given that Jazz team an identity and had a second chance to revive his career after that bad Bull stint. And there's no way. I think Lauri Markkanen is a lock. I think Domantas Sabonis is an absolute lock. The Kings are the 3 seed right now, and Sabonis is doing crazy shit on a nightly basis. He is averaging 18, 12, and 7. He's the only player in the league that's averaging 18, 12, and 7. He's basically Nikola Jokic light. And that Kings team, nobody expected him to be the 3 seed. And who was the last guy? Anthony Davis, my guy. I don't know if this is my Lakers shit, but for one point in the season, he was considered the MVP. I think a lot of people are throwing Jaren Jackson in here. Anthony Davis has played 26 games. Jaren Jackson has played 32. So I'm sorry. I'm not putting Jaren Jackson. It's not like he's played 20 more games than AD. He's played 27, 29, 31, 6 games. Jaren Jackson is averaging 16, 6, and 0.9 assists per game. And Anthony Davis is averaging 27, 12, and 2, shooting 59% from the field. I'm sorry. Close. Not even close. I don't care if the Lakers are the 13 seed, the Grizzlies are the 2 seed. Anthony Davis is an all-star. Jaren Jackson should not be voted in over him. And then my 2 wild cards, De'Aaron Fox. A lot of what I just talked about Same thing with Sabonis. Basically applies to De'Aaron Fox. He's averaging 23, 6, and he's my clutch player of the year right now. The kid is absolutely insane in the fourth quarter. And Damian Lillard. I couldn't leave Dame off. He's putting up 30.1 points per game, 6th leading scorer in the NBA. Obviously, the Trailblazers are not what a lot of people would hope they are. They're the 12 seed. Hey, they're above the fucking Lakers. So you do what you must, but there's not going to be an all-star weekend without Dame. So, Khalil, who you got as your Western Conference reserves?
So compared to like the East, I think the West is a little bit more locked. Like I think it's a little bit just
Way
understood.
easier. Way easier.
The reserves, like there's not really much of an argument. Like Laurie is having a breakout season. Glad he's got. He's with the Bulls. Obviously, started off with the Bulls, and then with the Cavs, and then now he's like coming into his own and being exactly who we thought he was going to be coming into the season. So I'm glad Laurie is doing what he's doing right now. AD obviously is in there for me too. Not a Lakers fan, but I'm a LeBron fan, so I'm gonna support the Lakers. I'm gonna support AD. In certain situations, of course, I've said before in this podcast, I think they just trade AD at some point. But when he's healthy,
Jesus Christ,
bro, when he's healthy, man, when he's healthy, he is a top 5, top whatever player, and he's playing like it. It's glad to see him back. Already had a big game for the Lakers too, and then Sabonis. I think I've tried to do this for a few years now. Compare him to Jokic. He's not Jokic, but the play style, impact on the game, how he can open up an offense, unlock other players. I think it's very close to what Jokic can do. It's like Jokic Light is a perfect name for him. It's a bonus. Having a great season with the Kings. 3 seed is crazy. That is insane. Like people were talking about them finally just being able to compete, like heading into the season, maybe being a play-in team, maybe making the playoffs, maybe. They're at the 3 seed right now. Of course, other teams have taken a dip. You got teams like the Suns, teams like the Warriors, the Lakers, whatever else you want to say, Clippers, Timberwolves. Like a lot of teams have taken a dip, but you can't discount what they're doing, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And then you go to Ja, obviously. You go to Shea, obviously. Like what he's doing for the Thunder. If they didn't have him, worst team in basketball, of course, worst record in basketball. Well, you also got the Rockets, but that's another thing. And then I went Dame and Fox. So it's the same, exactly as you. I already got like a Paul George down. That's fine. Just like honorable mention type of guys. But there really isn't like any arguments for other players. I feel like when it comes to the West reserves.
Yeah, I feel like Jaren Jackson is one. Devin Booker, I just don't think he's played enough to get in.
Yeah.
Draymond, I don't think they're going to give the Warriors to. And I just don't think he has. I don't think he's in years with the Warriors or like the 1 seed. Sure, you can put him in there, but as the 6 seed, 7 seed they are now, they're not putting him in there over a guy like AD. I just don't see it happening.
And honorable mention to Ant
Edwards. The Timberwolves just aren't good enough. I don't think. PG, CJ McCollum, Desmond Bain, Jeremy Grant. I just don't think they're putting any of those guys in over the big names that we just said. The East is a lot more difficult. The East is a lot harder. I think the guards are pretty easy. I think the East forwards are where it really starts to get like testy. So my reserves for the East ended up being Trae Young, the guards Trae Young and Jaylen Brown. I think a lot of people wanted Jaylen Brown starting. That didn't end up happening just because, you have such big names in the East. He's not starting at guard over Donovan Mitchell, who had 70, and Kyrie Irving, who plays in Brooklyn, New York, and has one of the largest fan bases in the NBA. But Jaylen Brown should be an all-star. He's putting up basically 27 a game, the second best player on the best record team in the NBA. I think he's an absolute lock. And Trae Young, I don't think is a lock. But I just don't see a realm in which they don't put him in here. The thing is, the Hawks they're the 8 seed, right? They have a positive record. They're 25-24. They're a game and a half back of the 7 seed. And Trae Young is putting up decent numbers. He's putting up 27 and 10, basically, almost leading the league in assists. I think that he deserves to be in this. I think that I think the players might not vote him in, but I think the media and I think it's just the media and the players, but I think the media will end up getting him in here. But I would be totally fine if he didn't make it. I just think that Trae Young deserves to be an all-star. I have Joel Embiid, obviously. That doesn't need to be explained. He should be a starter. I have Pascal Siakam, which I ended up changing. I had Bam, but I put in Pascal just because that man does absolutely everything for the Raptors. They are pretty bad, and he is carrying them on his back.
Yes.
He's averaging 25, 8, and 6. If that continues, he'd be the 10th player in NBA history to average that. Yes, the Raptors are in the tank, but I just think you can't look past what Siakam's doing, and he's doing it on pretty efficient numbers. If the Raptors didn't have him, they would be they might be the worst team in the league right now. So I think he deserves it. And then I have Julius Randle. A Nick has to be on this list.
Good job.
A Nick has to be on this list. It's either him or Jalen Brunson. I wouldn't be shocked if they put Jalen Brunson in over Trae Young. I just don't know if they give the Knicks 2 when the Hawks are the seed below them. I think Julius Randle gets it. He was just an all NBA player, and now he's putting up 2 years ago, and now he's putting up better numbers than he was back then. He is so crucial to what the Knicks do, and so is Jalen Brunson. Don't get me wrong. I'm fine with putting either one in here, but I just think it's easier to fit a forward in here than it is to fit a guard because you still got to fit Tyrese Halliburton, who I think is an absolute fucking lock. He is another most improved player. You see what the Pacers look like without him, and they look absolutely horrible. With him, they were like a top 5 seed in the East. And lastly, I have James Harden. The Sixers are the 2 seed in the East. And James Harden is putting up pretty good numbers, 22, 11, and 6. That would be leading. He's leading the league, and he doesn't qualify because he hasn't played enough games. But numbers-wise, he's leading the league in assists. I think the wild cards are tough. He's shooting 38% from 3, but him and Joel Embiid in that pick and roll is absolutely crazy. And I think the 2 seed in the East gets 2 All-Stars. So I would give it to James Harden. Who's your East reserves, bro? It's crazy.
So Trae Young made it for me. Mm-hmm. It's hard. So I'm not saying what I did with this person I'm going to compare him to, but if you want to look at like a Tyrese Halliburton, who's like 21 points per game, 20 points per game, 10 assists. If you just look at stats and you look at Trae Young's stats, 27 and basically 10. Yeah. Like that, I don't know. Like you can talk about the efficiency and all that other stuff and whatever else you don't like about Trae Young. I think a lot of people are hating on him right now. Just not a fan of him, I guess. And some of it is warranted in a way, but it's just hard to go against a season like this, even if it's not his best season. But Trae Young is on here for me. Jaylen Brown is also on here for me. Second best player, one of the best teams in the NBA. I love Jaylen Brown. And then you got James Harden. I have James Harden on here. You gotta have Julius Randle, who is having a wild season. And
absolutely insane.
Like you said, you have to have one of the Knicks players on here, and what he's doing right now, you being one of a guy people are talking about just trading. Like who wants Julius Randle right now? People were putting him in Lakers packages, all sorts of packages, but he's turned his season around, turned his career around once again.
But he's 24, 11, and 4.
That's
46% from the field, 35% from 3. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, come on. And the Knicks are winning. Of course, I don't think they're complete. Like they're not where they need to be as a team. They are a move or 2 away from where you probably want them to be at. But Julius Randle has them on the right trajectory, along with guys like Jalen Brunson. Of course, I have Pascal Siakam. Raptors suck. Mm-hmm. They should probably do something. But Siakam's been super consistent.
They should trade Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent to the Lakers.
Dude, we talked about this earlier. I don't. If I was a Lakers fan, I do not want Fred long term.
I think that helps us win this year, though.
You're right. It depends on the contract. If you can get off of it afterwards, fine. But I just wouldn't want him long term. Personally, I just don't like. He's a smaller player, smaller guard. He's getting older. He's 29, 28, something along those lines. So that's type of stuff that scares me. And he's not like, it's different. His game is different than Jalen Brunson's. Brunson's translates a lot better, I feel like, than Fred VanVleet's. So it just scares me a lot. Joel Embiid, of course, makes a reserve. Probably should have made a starter. No big deal. I don't care. And then it's between Bam and Tyrese for me. I'll let you know that too. did I have honorable mentions? I had honorable mentions. I had Kuzma as an honorable mention, by the way. I think he's having a good season. But Bam and Tyrese, and I choose Bam as my final
Ooh,
reserve spot.
hot take.
And I know you talked about Tyrese being the lock, but I just think Bam has been special. I think he hopefully is finally going to have that season where he can get that defensive player of the year, but he's been huge for the Heat. He's been very consistent, a lot healthier than he was last season as well. Of course, Tyrese is outrageous, and what he's doing for the Pacers, what he's done for the Pacers. Of course, he's injured right now, but he's put them at a great spot as well. And that team looks a lot different than we thought they were going to look. But I'm gonna give it to Bam in a very close match between the two.
I can't blame you for that. I really can't. I was between them as well. I think some honorable mentions: Jimmy Butler, DeMar DeRozan, Drew Holiday. I would not be shocked if they gave it to DeMar DeRozan. They love DeMar DeRozan. Jalen Brunson. I really wanted to fit him on here. I just couldn't. DeJounte Murray. I don't think he deserves it, but just naming guys. Darius Garland. Talent-wise, I think he's an all-star, but just it's hard to fit him in here with the East. Kuzma, and that was about it for the reserves. So yeah, we basically have all the same except you have Bam, I have Tyrese Halliburton. I think the East is very, very difficult. So I can't wait to see what they did. I cannot wait to see what they did. And yeah, that's gonna be the end of this episode. I hope y'all enjoyed. Make sure you follow us on TikTok at the Run It Up Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Run It Up Pod. I want to say I never remember what it is, but it's at Run It Up Pod. I'm on Twitter at Najee _ Khalil's on Twitter at Balil44. Justice is on Twitter at Just Fitted. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, download on Spotify, do all the good podcasty stuff that every other podcast tells you to do. Do it for us. And we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. I hope you have a litty day, a litty night, a litty life. And just like we do on every episode of this podcast, make sure y'all go run it up.